He's an Indigenous man.
It is indeed with a feeling of absolute pleasure that I am here tonight with all of you to protest against the police violence that is endemic to both the gay communities and to the Aboriginal communities also. Since the invasion of this country 225 years ago, our struggle for our own human rights has been fought for that long. We, my people, are still being trod on, bashed, tasered, killed, etc., etc., etc. Since 1980, the police have been guilty of over 200 Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander deaths in custody.
Black people and women get brutalised in our community, and let's not forget the trans community out there who are one of the most brutalised and murdered segments of our society. And a lot of it is by police who target sex workers, and that's another thing that we have to remember. So I want to bring up a few of the people who have been brutalised are going to be speaking today. Actually, the people who have had charges laid against them and were specifically beaten up have not come here today, probably because they're a bit messed up right now and probably because they need some time out. But there is a woman who was there on that film who was calling out, the police are going to investigate this thing internally and he'll get off and he won't be punished. And I understand that woman is here somewhere, and I'd like to hear from her, and actually she's right here, and I was wondering if you could come and share your story with us a little bit.
Along with that, I also want to point out that Jamie, myself and my boyfriend that filmed the video, who's also here still filming videos on his iPhone, all of us want to make it clear that this isn't against the New South Wales police force. We're fighting against police brutality and not against the police force, and one bad apple does not spoil it. I think Officer 226 has some questions to answer, and any other policeman that ever brutalises anyone or treats anyone in an unfair and unjust manner has some questions to answer. But there are a lot of good cops out there, and we wouldn't be where we are without them, so don't forget that. The backstory, which I haven't really been able to tell any news networks or anywhere where it's going to get much media coverage, but which everyone does deserve to know, is that what happened before that video was even worse. When Sam and I walked up, and when a lot of other people walked up, Officer 226 had Jamie by the throat already, and Jamie was struggling and trying to get out of that grip, as anyone would. I don't care if it's a police officer or the Prime Minister of Australia that's got me by the throat, your instinct is to get out of that grip, and that's all that Jamie is doing. That said, I'm not here to absolve Jamie of any wrongdoing. I'm not here to deny or to claim his innocence, but I think the court system is in place for a reason. If Jamie was using offensive language, that's a completely separate issue. If Jamie was resisting arrest and if Jamie was assaulting a police officer, he's going to court on April 1st because of all of that. And the police officer that threw him to the ground, the police officer that punched him, and the police officer that nearly split his head open and could have very easily killed him is not employed by the Australian government to dole out punishment for that sort of thing.
On New Year's Eve, it doesn't happen at Chinese New Year, it doesn't happen on Australia Day or Anzac Day. They pick on the gay and lesbian community and the transgender community and bisexual community because they think we're a soft target. But we're kind of proving them wrong right now because we're not a soft target. Woo! city of Sydney. She's from the Greens. She was there in 1978 when a lot of this first erupted, and here she is.
Thanks, Carl. I'd like to acknowledge that we're meeting on Aboriginal land, on Gadigal land, land that was never ceded, sold or given away. And I pay my respects and our respects to the elders past and present. Aboriginal land always was and always will be. I would like to thank CAR, Community Action Against Homophobia, for organising this rally tonight at such short notice and so successfully. And I would extend my sympathy to ex-CAR co-convener Bryn Hutchinson, who was brutally arrested after trying to cross the road against the orders of the police when the barriers were removed and people were already heading home. How deeply disappointing it must have been for Mr Hutchinson and the local police, who have worked so hard together over the years to ensure that LGBTIQ events are safe and well managed. How sad for all those members of the community who thought that things were changing and the police were our friends. The YouTube footage of young Jamie being arrested has hit a note with the community, and it was through the vigilance of fellow partygoers and their iPhones that this incident of police heavy-handedness was exposed to the world. We have come a long way from the days of the first parade in '78, but it is imperative that things do not go backwards, and that the great progress we have made toward total acceptance by the community is not lost by incidents like those on the weekend. It is time the police force stopped investigating polite complaints against themselves. During the last few years, there are so many cases of police brutality, and there have been no charges. None.
I hate to be a policeman. I don't envy them. They must see some terrible things. Road accidents, all sorts of family disputes, etc. I'm just wondering, what's the support for them to deal with seeing these things that puts them in a difficult, traumatic situation? Also, another point that comes to mind was when the other lady was speaking. Yeah, police came from different areas. To me, so what? It is, I would think, basic police training to deal with respect towards the public, to support them and help them and keep them safe.